Hey everybody, today we're going to learn sculpting basics in Blender. This is going to be a beginner-friendly tutorial, so even if you've never opened Blender, this one's definitely for you. We'll go over some of the most important tools and features to get you up to speed in sculpting in Blender. So if you stick with me till the end of the video, you'll have the tools to sculpt a basic creature bust like this one. Are you ready? Are you ready, sir? Let's get to it. Okay, so you've downloaded Blender. You open Blender, and this is what you're going to see. This splash screen pops up. Create a new file, click Sculpting. This is the interface when you open a new sculpting file. The first thing I want you to do is drag this toolbar out. Grab the edge and pull it out. So now we can see all the names of all the sculpting tools right here. I want you to grab the Draw tool, click on the Draw tool to start, and click on this X icon for X-axis symmetry. And let's just make a mark on this. So just put your brush on the ball of clay and make a mark on it. See how that feels. Now you can use a mouse to learn the fundamentals of how sculpting works in Blender, but I really recommend getting a basic drawing tablet because you're not going to have the pressure sensitivity that you need with a mouse. Middle mouse button orbits you around your sculpt. My screen keys will show right here, so if you miss something, just take a look, rewind, take a look at that. Now that we have some marks on our object, we can go through basic orientation. Middle mouse button orbits. I'm holding down middle mouse button and dragging to orbit. Middle mouse button and shift will pan around. You can also pan around with the hand icon. Zoom, hold down middle mouse button and control to zoom in and out. We can do that again with this zoom icon here. This is our viewport gizmo, which also will hover around the screen. And it can also give us quick views, quick orthographic views. That's the front orthographic, right orthographic, bottom, front. You can drag out of it with the middle mouse button again, drags us back. This here is the camera toggle, takes us to the current camera we have. And this is our orthographic and perspective toggle. When it's square, it's orthographic. When it looks like a perspective grid, it's perspective. We want to stay in perspective. Let's make a change real quick. Let's go to this little arrow icon. You can also press the N key as our properties pop out. Go to View, and let's change the focal length of the viewport to about 88. So just click on it and then type in 88 and press Enter. That way we get a more accurate representation of our sculpt while we work on it. Okay, we've got that all taken care of. Hit N to close the properties menu. And let's get to sculpting. Basic brushes. So starting off on a sculpt, I like to use the grab brush to come up with my silhouette, my big forms. I'm using the dial on my tablet to change the size of my brush. Drag this out. Any brush can act as a smoothing brush if you hold down the Shift key. So hold down Shift, and depending on the pressure you put on the sculpt, you'll apply smoothing to your sculpture. So I'm going to just drag out a basic beast creature face here. I'm going to create a simple creature bust. I'll pull out a neck real quick. I'm just dragging it and keep turning the mesh to get a good idea of the silhouette. Keep spinning things around. Keep spinning it around. Just using the grab tool. And I'll smooth it out as we go here. Try to get my basic shape in, the silhouette of my creature head. So now let's try some of the other brushes out. Let's go to Draw. I'm going to take my brush down a little bit. As we sculpt, we can see how the polygons start to stretch out a little bit. That's not a problem in the beginning while we're putting our basic forms together, all our primary shapes. Once we have the shape how we want it, we'll remesh the sculpture so we have enough polygons to add more detail. Smooth some of this out. I'm going to go back to the grab tool. Zoom out a little bit. And then pull out some of this for a the top of the chest area. Okay, so now that we've got our basic form of what we're going to make here, the basic profile, let's remesh this to get a little bit better topology to work with. So we're going to hover over the mesh, hit R, and we want a smaller number to remesh this. We're going to take it down to 15. We're going to take it down to 0.01415. That's fine. And let it go. And then click Control R to remesh. And it doesn't look like it's done anything yet, but when I hold down Shift and sculpt over it, I can smooth it out and see that I've got a lot more detail, a lot more polygons to sculpt with. Now that we have a higher poly count, let's go to our matcaps to change the material to something that's a little more pleasant to work with. So we're in the viewport shading mode. This is this icon, this filled in circular icon here, the circle here. Click down on this, click on this circle here under matcap. What is a matcap? So a matcap is a material that is used to create a quick and dirty preview of a surface. It's not a physically accurate material, but it can be used to generate an idea of how the surface might look when it's rendered. They're quick and easy to use, and they're great for the early stages of sculpting, modeling, and texturing. These are the options that come standard with Blender. So we're going to grab this one here. Now we can change the matcap color. Go back up here. If we go down to single, we can change the color. If you want to work with a different color like clay, this kind of feels like a plastic clay. So you can go ahead and change that if you like. You can also change the darkness of the shadow. But we're going to leave that alone for now. And we're going to go back to material. Let's change our matcap to this brown color. I like that. I think it's easier to see. Here's the red clay. This can be fun to use. Just try a bunch of the matcaps out and see which one you like. See which feels good when you're sculpting, and you'll find your favorite. Okay, more on the matcap section. If you want to do a quick look at the profile of your sculpt, just hit the flat icon here, the flat button. We can quickly check out how the silhouette reads from all angles. Let's turn that back off, go back to matcap, and brown is what I want to use. This tan matcap is solid for sculpting. One more quick orientation on moving around. If you hold down Alt and drag, Alt middle mouse drag will take you to quick orthographic view. So I'm just holding down Alt and it quickly takes you to all the different orthographic quick views. All right. Okay, let's try some of the other tools now. Take the draw tool. Just kind of building up some of the secondary forms here. Before I get too detailed. Another tip on the brush tool, if you hold down Control, it acts as a takeaway. It reverses the brush. Instead of putting down clay, you're taking away clay. It's reversing the action of the brush. If you hold down Control in Paint, it's going to reverse the action of the brush. I'm going to hit Grab again, pull this guy's head up a little bit, give him a kind of a more egg-shaped alien creature head. Another important tool is the clay strips. Builds up a little more textury kind of clay. It has more of a textury clay feeling. Just building up the side of the muzzle area. Chin. And I'm using Shift to kind of knock back the stroke. So draw sharp is a fantastic tool for detail and putting in landmarks. I'm going to give this guy an eye here. So, and put his mouth in here. I like the inflate tool. It's fantastic. Very useful tool. Build up his little end of his mouth area and his chin. And let's give him a little bit bigger brow. I'm constantly turning the sculpture to see it from every angle to make sure it looks good from every angle. It's a good habit to get into. Okay, next. So adjusting the size of the brush. If you hit your right mouse button, the radius controls the size of the brush. And then the strength of the brush is the inner circle. And our strength controls how much the brush affects the mesh. A higher strength will have a more pronounced effect, while a lower strength will have a less pronounced effect. I'm going to add in some wrinkle lines on the brow area and the sides of the mouth, under the chin. So I'm just using my middle mouse button to hover around. Adding some little details here. I don't think we're gonna see this guy's eyes. His eyes are closed. Again, hold down Control to do the opposite of what the brush does. It's negative. If your brush is negative, it makes it positive, and vice versa. So I'm going to increase my brush size and kind of knock back some of these with Shift, kind of smooth out some of these marks that I've made. And keep turning your sculpture, that way you can see from every angle if the silhouette looks good or not. Also, remember to have fun. We're learning something new. It's exciting. And right now it's not super important because we're just learning the basics of functionality of sculpting in Blender. But get reference. When you're ready to make something, get reference, and that makes all the difference. Reference, reference, reference. Now let's look at the masking tool. The hotkey is M. It's down towards the bottom. Super important tool. We can paint our mask on. Hit the A hotkey to bring up the mask menu. Hold it down. If you want to invert the mask, go off to the left. I'm going to get my grab tool and adjust this. We can also smooth the mask out a little bit, which I think we're going to do that. Let's smooth the mask a few times so that way we don't get such a sharp change. Okay, hold down A again, and we're going to clear the mask. I'm going to do the same thing with the masking the mouth to draw some lips in. A little more pronounced. So there's that. And if you hold down Control again, it will take away the mask. You'll paint away the mask. A again for the mask menu. Invert mask. I'm going to get my inflate tool, my inflate brush, and hit this a little bit to kind of bring that out. Knock back that. Then hit A again to invert the mask through this lower lip area. And I've still got the inflate brush. And if you're not happy with your sculpt, whether this is your first or your 10th, just don't give up. Keep at it. Keep at it. Repetition. Just keep grinding out sculpts every day, and you're going to get better. Okay. Hit A to clear the mask. And let me smooth this just a little bit. Hold down Shift and kind of smooth out your lips. I'm going to go to the Draw Sharp again. Give him a little dimple in his chin. Yeah, so we got our basic form. Let's try some of the other tools. Clay strips. We've tried that already. Clay thumb. Pushes in. Acts as a thumb pushing in on the sculpture. Blob. We've already used inflate. Blob just throws on blobs of clay. Pretty heavy buildup. Let's go ahead and retopologize this again. So hit Control R. And that's going to retopologize our sculpt to redistribute polygons. Let's pull his mouth out again. Grab the grab. Use the grab tool. Okay, so I think we are going to put eyes on this guy. So let's push these eyes in a little bit here. Let's use the mask tool here. And let's paint out the eyes, where the eyes will go. So paint those in. And then hit A again to invert the mask. And we're going to use the grab tool again to push those back in. Okay. A to clear the mask with this here. Hit A and over to the right to clear the mask. And now we're going to go into object mode for a minute. So we want to give him some eyes. So let's make sure he's not selected. Click Shift A to create a new mesh. Pick the UV sphere. Then we're going to go into edit mode. So go up here where it says object mode, the mode drop down menu. Go to edit mode, hit A to select all, and G to move. So let's position this where his eye should go, in this eye socket. Let's position this where the eye socket is. So we're going to go to orthographic view for a second. I'm going to hit S to scale and drag. It's going to shrink it down. And then G to put it where we want it to be in this from the side view. And then we're going to go to the front view. Hold down Shift and drag to move over. And then G again to put it in his eye. Let's move it back a little bit. Let's grab our move icon here, Gizmo. It's a little bit easier. You have more control. So just to reiterate, G to move or grab the move gizmo and move around that way. Okay, so I've positioned the eye where I want it. I'm going to go back to edit mode. I'm going to go back up to the mode drop down, go back to object mode. We're going to add a modifier with the eyeball selected. Add modifier, which is this wrench. Modifiers is the wrench icon. Select this, click on the drop down, go to mirror, because we want to mirror the eye. And that's all you got to do. That mirrors it just like that. And if you right click on this, hit shade smooth. So click on the, we forgot a step. Click on the eye, right click and hit shade smooth. That way we're going to have a nice smooth eye. So now he has eyes. Okay? So when you have multiple objects in your scene, when you're sculpting, let's go back to sculpting mode. Again, the mode option drop down. Sculpt mode. So now we're back in sculpting mode. So if you want to select the eye, say for example, you want to do something to it, add the cornea pop out. We hit, while we're hovering over the object we want to work on, hit Alt Q. You'll get a flash. You'll get like an orange flash. You see that? I just selected the full mesh and then just the eye, and that differentiates what you're sculpting on. So I'm going to grab the draw tool here, and let's pop out the eye a little bit. And I forgot to hit the symmetry tool, so make sure you hit the symmetry tool, and then I'm going to pop out his eye here. And I actually need a little bit more resolution here, so let's add a modifier. Let's say subdivision surface. Let's add 2 to it. That's good. And then we'll just collapse it down. Apply it. Now we should be able to just draw a bump on the eye there. Okay, and let's get back to this working on the main mesh. Alt Q while hovering over the mesh. Get that flash so we know we're working on it, that orange flash. And we're going to go with the clay strips tool. Kind of build up this guy's face. Again, grab the draw sharp. Let's get the mask tool out and fix this front of the mouth area here. Press A again to bring up the mask menu. I'm going to smooth my mask out a little bit. And then I'm going to hit A again and invert my mask. And we're going to inflate the front of the mouth here. Yeah, it looks good. Hold on A again and clear mask. Let's put a little divot in the frenulum area of the mouth. Okay, Control Z. Control Z is undo if you don't like something that you've done. I'm going to add some wrinkle marks. Let's add some detail. This is more of just a concept. It's not ready. We would have to retopologize this for a production character. This is just for an idea. We could paint over it in Photoshop or Krita. Okay, what other brushes have we not tried? Here's the fill tool. It fills in areas. So if you have a divot or something, it can fill the area in. I didn't really need it just now, so let's undo all that. Elastic deform is also a very powerful tool. But you'll want to use this one before you place your eyes because you'll have to adjust them after stretching out your mesh. They won't line up anymore. But you can get some really cool changes really fast. You can get a whole new design. We have the snake hook tool to add some little bumps or horns. You can really pull them out far. Make the brush a little smaller, you get a little more fine control. Give them a sharp tip. Let's finish up this. I've got my hotkeys set, so I'm going to start using the hotkeys now. You'll see it change in the sidebar there, the toolbar, what I'm using. So if you get confused, just take a look. I'm just going to start moving through it. So yeah, you fundamentals of sculpting, working from large to small, get your main shapes, and then work down to more detail. I'm going to grab that tool there, the grab tool. Change him up, he looks mad. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I really like this draw sharp. It's really powerful. Kind of fix the last little bit of this neck part here. If you have any questions, please comment below. Appreciate you. So let's add his clavicle. I'm gonna hit Control to do the negative of the brush stroke. Get my clay strips out again. Putting the traps in there. Let's push this back a little bit. I'm gonna grab the draw tool and hit Control to dig out this a little bit and add the contact point of his neck muscle here. Shift to smooth it out. Yeah, that's pretty much the basics. We covered enough tools to get you sculpting your own characters and creatures in Blender. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe if you found value. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, comment below. I'm Tony Chris, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, guys.